We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Business Owners. And hi, my name is Mark Boersma, along with Tom Kuntz, and we're going to be doing another podcast today. Hopefully, you got a chance to look at the first one we did, specifically to business owners who are amiable. And so today we're going to be focused in on business owners who are analytic in nature. So you would tend to go ahead, and one of your greatest strengths as an analytic would be you like to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure things are done properly in order. One of your weaknesses might be you like to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure things are done properly in order. So our greatest strength is our greatest weakness, and our greatest weakness is just our greatest strength misapplied. It's taking a strength and carrying it too far. And so in business, you'll succeed as an analytic because you tend to study things well. You know your product line, your product well. You're concerned about quality. And so that's why you'll succeed. Why you'll fail in business, and 97% of all businesses fail within the first 7 years. And the analytic, they're similar to the amiable and they're less assertive, but they're similar to the driver and they're focused on the task, but they're not going to be assertive. And so they're going to tend not to be as assertive. They're going to tend to have often where they're going to often provide quality of service that they're not charging for. And so they want to give this level of service, but they don't want to pressure or push their customers to pay that level. So often their business model is going to be flawed, where they're going to give way too much service for the price that they're charging. So you're going to go out of business that way. You tend not to want to push people. You'll have a hard time collecting payments. So there's a bunch of things that you'll succeed in business, but you'll also fail in business as well. Tom, as a business owner that's an analytic, what coaching, what suggestions, what mentoring would you give to the analytic personality, Tom?
I'm not sure exactly what I'd give for just the analytic, but at the end of the day, I think you have to focus on things that are going to make your business run better. And a big portion of that is the employees that you have. And if your employees aren't willing to do the work that you're paying them to do, then you need to reintroduce them to the marketplace and let them find another opportunity. And that's just maybe it's just because I'm old and I've gone through enough of this stuff that I'm sick of pampering and coddling and doing all the other stuff. If you don't want to do what I'm paying you to do, then I'm going to stop paying you to do it. And you can walk off.
And what about a nonprofit organization, or maybe
even more so, because every dollar that a nonprofit spends is not garnered by a product or maybe a service, but not a product. And therefore, the more money you spend trying to get people to do stuff, the less you can spend on the charitable piece of the business that you really are supposed to be using for.
What if you have family members? Well, what if you as a nonprofit, you're having volunteers and you're not paying them, anything to do it? You can't. And you can fire them too, but if they're volunteers, you're not paying them. Or what if they're family members? What if they're a spouse and they're not, doing what needs to be done? Or you are building a culture that it's almost like a family-run business, and so these two personalities over here, the amiable and the analytic, they will often get taken advantage of by others. Now, what I didn't realize until a year ago, Tom, probably about a year ago, 6 months, a year ago, that is the reason that the amiable gets taken advantage of by so many people is they take advantage of everybody else too. Like but they take advantage of them, and like all four personalities can take advantage of one another, but they'll do it, totally different way. And so, as we get into the next podcast, which will be the expressive, that's going to be more assertive. So we're going in the order of lower frequency to higher frequency. And don't misunderstand lower frequency as being something negative. It's not. And don't think of lower frequency as being less powerful, because it's not. Like the
Well,
amiable,
would you say that the amiable tends to put themselves, they, if you have if you're amiable and I have a conflict with you and I'm amiable, you think that when I sit in front of you and start talking, that I'm putting myself in your chair and therefore I'm not going to be as assertive as I probably would be in any one of the other personalities?
we have an expert amiable on in today as a guest. Rosanna, she is my wife of 39 years. And so I'm going to be driver analytic. She's going to be double amiable. She has some analytic and some expressive, but mostly deep, deep, deep amiable personality. And so I think what Tom is saying is the amiable has more maybe empathy, and that's why they are not, they are not as assertive. Would you agree with that, Rosanna, from your own personal experience?
I'm not necessarily. Um, a lot of times the reason amiables aren't assertive is they either one don't want to do it, two don't want to deal with a conflict with someone else, and so they won't pursue it, or three they're afraid if they do it, if they do it wrong, then they're going to go ahead and someone's going to not like it.
So is what you're saying, Rosanna, I just want to be clear on what you're saying, is what you're saying is the amiable is just as selfish, if not more selfish than the other personalities, but they're so good at disguising their selfishness that everybody else thinks that they're a really nice person, but they're really not. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to tell you that, because then that would be giving away my secrets.
Um, so what's interesting, Tom, is my dad was an amiable, analytic, amiable, and after 50 years of marriage, I was talking to my mom one day, and I said, "Man, Dad drives me crazy. He's so stubborn." And I'm like, and she's like, "He's not stubborn." I'm like, "Are you kidding, Mom? He is." And she's like, "He's not. He's not stubborn." I'm like, "Okay, Mom, if that's working for you." And I'm thinking, I hope I didn't mess up their marriage. And about a week or two later, a few weeks later, I was talking to her. She's like, Mark, you're right. Your dad is really stubborn. And so the amiable, again, married for 39 years and love her to pieces, love them to pieces, but they're sneaky little buggers. I mean, they really are. They can go ahead and they can control all four personalities, and none of the other personalities know that they're controlling. And and what they do is they'll go ahead, and if something's wrong, they don't have to take any responsibility for it either, because they've controlled you to do something. So you go to war and you take a bullet, and they're like, "Well, I don't know, it was your idea." And you actually think it was your idea, but it was really their idea. Anyways, we're talking about the analytic, but the analytic, amiable, they have a lot of details to go ahead and show that they're right. And they have a lot of details to show that they're right. And then they're super, super, they can move things and people. And again, it's when I'm not being negative, each of the four personalities can, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. But when Rosanna said, they just don't want to do it, they're super stubborn. Of the four personalities, the amiable is the most stubborn of the four. But but they're not on a lot of things. Like I think they give in and give in and give in, and then one day they're just really stubborn, and they'll also not tell you the truth. A driver personality like myself would call that a lie. Like, you're a liar. You're not telling me the truth. But the amiable would say it's not lying. It's not. No, it's being nice. How is lying being nice? Well, you're not telling the person what they, to hurt their feelings. And I'm like, so again, very different. Now, just look at this. The analytics are like, wait a minute, wait just a minute. This is supposed to be about us. How the amiable get all the attention? Like, right? They just do. So, like, as a business owner, understanding the different personalities, like Tom said, in your employees is absolutely critical. And that's where the mobile app, the Life GPS mobile app, which will identify someone's personality in 17 seconds. And once you identify their personality, their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off. If they're married, who they're married to, conflict of marriage, more about them in 17 seconds than they know about themselves, literally. So this is where that's what this podcast is really about, is for business owners, but it's not just for you, it's for your spouses too. And so if you're an analytic, there's a high statistical probability you're going to be married to an expressive personality. And so, listen to her or listen to him, listen to your spouse, because they're going to be able to complement you and your weaknesses. And so they're your greatest coach, they're your greatest ally, they're your greatest partner. But it's hard to keep in alignment, because what turns one personality on will turn another personality off. What gives one personality pleasure will give another personality pain. There's just some crazy stuff. And so continue to join us, and then invite other people, like invite your employees, your spouse, your children, other people to this, because the more we can understand about personalities. So it's good to have a driver on your team, because they're like you, or they're focused on the task, but the analytic struggles in seeing the big picture. So the analytic will often focus on all the small details, but they miss the big picture. And if you don't have the big picture, that's not going to work out well for your business. Have the expressive, because the expressive is the one that gives the energy. So they can get people to buy in, they can move people, they can take whole groups of people, they bring energy and passion and excitement, to your ideas. And then the amiable, they'll be similar to you and they're less assertive, but they're less assertive with people. And so you're going to be less assertive with tasks, they'll be less assertive with people. Now, when we say less assertive, it doesn't mean that they get less done. They can often get more done than the other three personalities with people, because people think they're really nice. I'm not saying they're not. They kind of tell you what you want to hear, so you almost get hypnotized by them. They're very powerful. The amiable in your company as an analytic will help to hold you all together, or a bitter amiable will blow the whole thing to pieces. So again, in future podcasts, we'll talk more about this in some specific details. Share this with your customers, especially your business customers as well, because that will help you. They can be partners with you as well. And so if you have a vendor, or a supplier, or if you go ahead and have referral partners or whoever, having them understand this and then collaborating together, partnering together, will help you a great deal. So hopefully that's been helpful today, in going through that. And we'll talk about the next, is going to be the expressive personality. And so that's going to be, like the amiable, focused on people, but they're going to be like the driver, where they're more assertive. So this is what Tom is. I'm very jealous of Tom's personality. Like the driver, and we'll talk about the driver last, they're the highest frequency person. They can vaporize people. Nobody likes them, but every business needs them. I mean, they really do. So the analytic, amiable personality will run somebody over, apologize for running them over, and then run them over again. That sounds cruel and mean, but it's not. What's cruel and mean is the driver analytic. That's me. I will run somebody over and explain why they deserve to be run over. People don't like me. They just don't. Tom, he's an expressive driver. I'm very jealous of him. I've been studying him for a couple decades, still haven't mastered it, but I'm getting a little closer. He will run somebody over. He seems to do it in such a funny, cool way that people are like, please, please, Tom, run me over again. I'm like, he's more me than I am. Like, how's he get away with it? But he does. So each of these personalities, it's a lot of fun as a business owner. Definitely master this stuff because this will serve you very, very well in business, and share with other people about voices of integrity, not just for businesses, but there's, for entrepreneurs and for women and young women and men and young men, marriages, pastors, addictions, podcasts for outliers, law enforcement, and legacy partners. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's out there that's really good. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.